Before we begin the measurement, let's briefly review the measurement concept. We will be going from one bank to the other, taking measurements along the way. We'll be dividing the entire measurement section into discrete sections, also called verticals, measuring the depth and the width of each vertical in order to calculate the cross-sectional area. And in each vertical, we'll be taking velocity measurements. We'll sum all of those verticals, and at the end of the measurement, we'll have one number. The exact equations used in the calculation will depend on what method your agency uses. For more information, consult the FlowTracker2 manual. Once I hit the measurement button, the first screen the FlowTracker is going to show is a metadata screen, for example, for the operator name or the site name or comments. If you haven't saved those in a template file already, you can key them in now. Under comments, you can enter anything you like. You could enter in a starting gauge height, for example. Also, throughout the measurement, you'll have the option to enter gauge height data, and just recognize that that's for informational purposes. It's nice to have, but it won't affect your ability to take a measurement, and it won't affect the quality of the measurement. So if you enter your metadata, let's hit next. And now we have the option to add a station. The first station, station number 1, is going to be our starting edge. Our starting edge in this case is at the right bank. It's at 22 feet. So I'm going to key in 22 on my screen, arrow down, and in this case we actually have a depth at our starting edge. On the wading rod, I see that our depth, according to the markings, is 0.9 feet. So I'm going to enter 0.9. and scroll down. The station type in this case is the right bank because it's on my right hand side if I were to be looking downstream. In this case, we won't have a correction factor, it'll be 1. And I don't have any comments at this time, so I'll hit done. And that's our first station. Easy. Now we're ready to take our second station with a velocity measurement. So I've moved along my tagline. My next station, I'm going to put it 21 feet. So I'm going to do 21. You'll notice it doesn't have to be increasing or decreasing. It could be either one. So I've incremented a foot. I've entered in 21. What is my depth at this location? I'm reading it off the rod. It looks like 1.14. I'm going to enter that in right now. Now we're in open water, so it defaulted to that for our station type. The water is shallow enough so I can take my velocity measurement in 1 point, and we'll use the 6/10 location. If I were deeper, the FlowTracker would actually detect that for me and prompt me if I wanted to use a 0.2 or a 0.8 method, in other words 2 points per vertical. But I'm shallow enough for now. I'll just use a single point at 6/10 depth from the surface. I'm going to keep scrolling down because I see that arrow is asking me what my correction factor is. I'll just leave it at 1. Do I have any comments? Not right now. All right, let's hit measure. Now here on the screen, before we actually are collecting data for the measurement, we have a lot of good information that ensures we don't waste time collecting bad data. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a picture of the wading rod. Do we have our wading rod set correctly for the depth? In this case, the FlowTracker knows that my depth is 1.14. So I have a picture that I should line up the 1 with what would approximately be the 1.1414 line on the wading rod handle. That's probably about as good as I'm going to get it. Does that match what I'm seeing on the screen? I think so. So next on the screen we have that beam check. So with each measurement you can see, are there weeds hung up? Is there something preventing my beam from looking normal? In this case the beam check looks normal, the signal strength's normal, good. Next we have the virtual bubble level. So am I holding the instrument level? It's green. Got about a degree error. That's okay. And what is my flow angle? It's just an arrow. You'll see it fluctuating depending on the flow. It's kind of slow here at the edge, so it's actually kind of normal to see that arrow fluctuate. Lastly, this is one thing the FlowTracker doesn't know is, am I holding the probe in proper alignment to the tagline? So the probe should be perpendicular to the tagline, and that transmitter, that circular transducer, should be pointed directly across to the opposite bank. That red band shows the direction of the downstream arm. So make sure that red band is always pointed downstream if you want a positive velocity. So my screen parameters are showing up good. I have the FlowTracker lined up properly, perpendicular with the tagline. I'm ready to hit start. Now the FlowTracker will begin taking that 40-second or 60-second measurement as your organization requires. And what's nice is that I can view those data on the screen during this 40-second average. I can see a plot of the velocities in real time. I see that little blue arrow, so that means there's more for me to see. I can scroll down and see the SNRs, the signal strength. I can see the temperature, is it steady? I can see my tilt if I held it steady. Is the velocity angle shifting a lot? And battery voltage. Or back up to the top. I got a beep there, and I can review measurement parameters on the screen. It looks normal to me. I'll hit the accept button. And that's our second measurement.